Hello, my name is Brittany Fields, and today I will be discussing with you the 2019 CPA exam changes. I'm sure most of you are aware that the AI CPA regularly updates the content and structure for the exams. So if you're like me and you plan on taking the CPA exam in the near future, I think it's very important to keep up with these changes. That way you're not throwing any curveballs and you're fully prepared to take the CPA exam. So an overview of what I'll be discussing with you today. First, I'm going to go over the content changes, specifically for FAR and REG that are effective January 1 of this year, and then some of the structure changes you can expect to see in July 1st of this year, and how this will all impact you moving forward as you study for the CPA exam. So the only content change to FAR has to deal with leasing. In 2016, FASB issued ASC 842. Prior to this, companies were not required to put long-term capital leases or operating leases on their balance sheet. Now they're required to put them on their balance sheet. However, they're not required to implement their short-term leases. The financial statement disclosures under ASC 842 are a lot more extensive and detailed now, so that part is going to be tested over in FAR as well now. The lease qualifications have changed under ASC 842. Now the lessee must actually have control over the asset in order to be considered a lease. There's also a lot fewer allowed capitalized costs that companies can include in the lease. And then as far as a lease, like a leaseback, in order to be qualified as a sale, the company must adhere to the revenue recognition for ASC 606. Otherwise, it's not deemed a sale. It's considered like a financing agreement. So if you're not very comfortable with leases, I would definitely take a look into any changes that might have been put into effect that's going to be now tested on for the exam. As far as the changes to REG, I'm not going to go over each of these changes. We've all had income tax at this point, and most of us have taken or are taking advanced income tax. So it would be kind of redundant for me to go through all of these with you, but just know that everything that the Tax Cuts and Job Act changed will be tested on now moving forward. As far as the structure changes, which I have listed here, I pulled all of these from the AI CPA's website, and it's very detailed as far as what they're adding for each topic. To give you an overview of what I've put here, pretty much the AI CPA is expanding the concepts of you utilizing your professional skepticism, judgment, and personal bias. I know that they're adding a response that has you investigate evidence that contradicts management's assertions during your audit. And they're also adding an analysis on you modifying plan procedures based on anything that changed during your interview with management, new evidence, or changes in environment. So if I were you and you planned on taking the audit, I would definitely go to the AI CPA's website and kind of look over the topics that they're expanding. I think that they have a lot of useful information on their website. As far as the changes to FAR, they are adding a new topic where you have to adjust the notes in a financial statement based on some errors or an omission, and that's the only structure change that they're making in July. For the REG, I found out they're having you calculate a qualified business income, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. It's a deduction that S-Corps and partnerships can now take. And they're also having you compare the tax benefits of different expensing options for tax depreciation. So if you're not very familiar with any of these, I would definitely research a little bit more on these topics. So I've gone over the major content changes and some of the structure changes. What does this mean for you? After doing some research, I've read that you're going to have to start applying a lot more of your professional judgment, especially for the leasing part of FAR and as well for auditing. And then, of course, 85% of the reg material is changing, but we're fortunate to be in school right now, so we're kind of learning as we go along. I would consider, what study materials you're using, making sure that it's current, up to date. I know a lot of the CPA exam review courses are pretty good about keeping that information up to date. So just be mindful of what you're studying and making sure that it applies to what you'll be tested over. And then as far as like changes being made, I would keep up with, when the AI CPA releases new content changes for the exam or any structure changes. Their website was very helpful and was very like accurate and detailed on what exactly they were changing in the tests. So I would recommend going to their website and taking a look at that. These are the sources that I use. Like I said, I use mostly the AICPA and FASB. There's a lot of really useful information on there. Thank you so much for listening, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the discussion board, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.